Welcome to This Birding Life, a podcast for birdwatchers everywhere. I'm your host, Bill Thompson III. This is episode 57, the Honduras Birding for Conservation Tour. Special thanks to our podcast host, Birdwatchers Digest, the magazine for birders who love to read and readers who love to bird. You can learn more about North America's favorite birding magazine and sample our latest issue by visiting our website at birdwatchersdigest.com. This birding life would not be possible without the wonderful financial support of our two corporate sponsors, Carl Zeiss Sports Optics and Rock Jumper Birding Tours. Carl Zeiss Sports Optics are the makers of the amazing Victory SF binocular, the very first binocular made specifically for birders. You can join the Zeiss community of birders on Facebook at facebook.com/ZeissBirding. Zeiss has sponsored This Birding Life for many years now, and we appreciate their support of us and of the birding and bird conservation communities at large. Zeiss, we make it visible. Rock Jumper Birding Tours offers more than 300 tours annually to more than 100 destinations worldwide, using talented guides from among their large staff, plus local birding guides whenever possible. Their commitment to offering a high-quality birding experience is why Rock Jumper enjoys such loyalty among its customers. Plan your next great birding adventure at rockjumperbirding.com. Now on to our episode. The concept of using a birding competition or a birdathon to raise money for conservation is not a new one. Bird clubs and conservation organizations have been doing this for decades here in the United States, and there are even some competitions that attract teams of birders from far and wide, including the World Series of Birding in New Jersey, the Great Texas Birding Classic in Texas, and the Champions of the Flyway Bird Race in Eilat, Israel. There's a new kid on the block, however, and its goal is to raise money and awareness for birds and conservation in the country of Honduras. It's called the Honduras Birding for Conservation Tour, and it was the brainchild of ecotourism marketer James Adams and, get this, the president of Honduras. Honduras is a small Central American country bordered to the west by Guatemala, to the southwest by El Salvador, to the southeast by Nicaragua, and to the south by the Pacific Ocean at the Gulf of Fonseca, and to the north by the Gulf of Honduras, a large inlet of the Caribbean. It's a country of rich natural resources, and its variety of habitats makes for some amazing biodiversity. Being a small and quite poor country compared to the rest of the world, Honduras is facing a tipping point in how to drive its economy. Continue to consume and exploit its rich natural resources for immediate and short-term profit, much of which goes to overseas multinational corporations, or build a new economy based in part on ecotourism and tropical adventure travel. Many other countries in Central America have benefited greatly from ecotourism, often led by birding tours. Think of Costa Rica, Belize. The idea is that habitat preservation and the conservation of Honduras' biodiversity can be achieved by promoting the delights of birding in Honduras to the worldwide audience of traveling birdwatchers. And that's where the Birding for Conservation Tour idea comes in. Here's my conversation with the creator of the Birding for Conservation Tour, James Adams. Okay, I am standing here at Fox Lake Park in Titusville, Florida with James Adams from Pico Bonito Lodge in Honduras, and we get a little bit of wind, a little Zydeco music in the background, but what we're here talking about is an event that James has organized down in Honduras for November of 2016. James, tell us about that.
Okay, so this is going to be Honduras's first real international birding event. This was sort of the creation of myself and the U.S. ambassador, James Nealon, and a couple of Honduran birding guides, thinking what we could do to bring Honduras to the next level as far as avitourism or birding tourism. And so what we decided on was a sort of a birding rally, but an easy birding rally, a relaxed birding rally, not a hectic sort of event. Whereas folks like yourself, Bill, will come down as a tour leader, and Jeff Gordon and Tim Appleton and Richard Crosley and
Adam Riley.
Yeah, Adam Riley, and moving away from the wind here. Will come down and lead 5 teams, one team each. Each team will have a local tour guide, and we're going to bird some of the best of Honduras. We're going to do this between November 4th and 13th. We're going to be birding some of the rainforests of the north coast of Honduras, up there around our neck of the woods, Pico Bonito and Pico Bonito National Park. And then we're going to do some of the interior of the country around Lake Yohoa and Panacam Lodge. And then we'll be doing a couple of days around the Mayan ruins of Copan in western Honduras.
Nice. So what can people expect? I mean, how many days will the rally go for?
Okay, so again, it's November 4th to the 13th. 4th will be your arrival day, 13th will be your departure day, and we're talking about 8 full days of birding. The idea here is in a nutshell is the team that sees the most birds wins money for conservation. The prize money is being provided by the Honduran president, as well as a couple of our corporate sponsors that we have, which include Zeiss Optics and a few others. What we're shooting for here again is an easy and relaxed tour. A couple of hours of birding in the morning, a couple of hours of birding in the afternoon, that will go down as being the official bird counts for the rally. And in between, people are going to have time to bird on their own, bird with their friends, relax, do whatever it is they'd like to do.
So folks who are interested don't need to worry if they've never been to Honduras before, if they don't, maybe even never have been to the tropics before.
That's exactly.
Anybody's welcome.
That's exactly right. In fact, that's one of the questions I've been getting quite often. How advanced of a birder do I need to be? How quote-unquote good of a birder do I need to be? You don't need to be any of that stuff.
Right.
You need to be a person who cares about birds, who loves to see beautiful birds, wants to see tropical birds in a beautiful setting, cares about conservation, and wants to have fun.
Right.
You're going to be with some of the best international tour leaders that this world has to offer, the best birding guides that Honduras has to offer, and you're going to be doing this for fun and prize money for conservation.
That's really cool. So what's a typical day at birding in Honduras like? I mean, it's in the tropics, so I'm assuming the sun comes up at around 6 and goes down about 6, right? You're near the equator, so that's kind of the. But like, when somebody wakes up at Pico Bonito, what's their day going to be like?
Okay, so you've heard about this. You've heard of the dawn chorus,
right,
that everyone talks about. It's we life in the tropics sort of takes on its own rhythm and its own tempo, and that is of the tropics. A day at Pico Bonito, a birding day at Pico Bonito, or even anywhere else down there, Copan or Panacam, is going to be, we're going to wake up 5:30, 6 o'clock. You're undoubtedly going to hear a dawn chorus of oropendulas and mots and toucans and what have you around your cabin. We'll have an easy, quick breakfast, and we'll be out there birding by 6:30. The tropics tend to have 2 birding peaks. I'm not so sure about up here in North America, but where we are, we have our morning peak of activity, which is generally between dawn and say 10 a.m. and which is the time we're tailoring our main birding activity around. And then again in the afternoon, we have our peak, sort of warmer, quieter part of the day, which is around noontime. And then around 2:30, 3 p.m., it starts to pick up again. Everyone, people and birds alike, have had their siesta, and now they're coming out for a nibble or to stretch or to do whatever it is they need to do, and fill their bellies before it's time to go to sleep again. The sun goes down, right around, this will be in November, sun will be going down right around 6 o'clock p.m.
Right. And what weather could people expect that time of year? Okay,
the weather should be perfect. When we put this event together, we wanted this to be around a good birding time.
Yeah.
Maximum birding activity and the best weather we could provide. November is going to be just about right. Not too hot, not too cold. Maybe highs midday in the mid to low 80s. Chances of precipitation, it's hard for me to predict the weather a year in advance, but November is not typically a rainy time. Late August and September are generally rainy times there. By November, We could expect an afternoon shower from time to time,
Right.
every couple of days, but that'd be about it. I would expect sunny skies, warm, perhaps cloudy in the afternoon, and rain every couple of days.
Yeah, and so people need to have sensible footwear and probably rain gear with them just in case. But layers, I would imagine.
Layers. I mean, the abbreviated packing list would be your standard light long sleeve shirt, maybe t-shirts, light long sleeve pants, that Columbia style thing. Yes, bring a rain jacket. Yes, bring a hat. Yes, bring some boots that are going to keep your feet dry. Bring a spare pair of shoes in case your feet do get wet. And why not a light fleece jacket just in case it gets chilly one evening?
Yeah. Now, what's the bird list in Honduras, approximately?
Okay, as far as number of species, we're right up getting close to 750 species for the country. I think we're just under that. Total bird list for the areas where we're going to be birding is going to be more than 3/4 of that entire list.
Wow, okay.
I mean, where we are at Pico Bonito alone, we're talking about 500 plus species.
Yeah.
When we get out there birding Lake Yoho and Panacam at the event, and then again at Copan, where the Mayan ruins are at the event, we're going to add on another 100 species at least.
Yeah. So what you thinking a list for one of the teams there is going to be something like what?
Oh, I would say at the end of the event, I could see 300 species easy, possibly
Wow.
4.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a big year for some people.
Exactly.
Fitting a lot of that in.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, James, I tell you, I've been a big admirer of all the work you've done to put Pico Bonito on the map. You've done so much with social media, and you've had a lot of people down there who are sort of opinion leaders and the leading edge of tour guides who are going to a new place, and it's now there's a well-worn path to Pico Bonito now, I would have to say.
Thank goodness.
And if anybody wants to find out a little bit more about the event, about Pico, about you, how would they do that?
Well, they can go right onto our website about this event. It's called the Honduras Birding for Conservation Tour, and the website is www.hondurasbirdtour.com.
Okay.
And right on there is an area where you can click for more information and send us an inquiry. If you want to know more about Pico Bonito Lodge and get to me directly, Pico Bonito Lodge's website is www.picobonito.com.
Okay.
And I can give you an email address, and that's jadams@picobonito.com, and I am at your service 100%.
That can call, huh?
Yeah.
So what does it cost for somebody who wants to participate in this event?
Okay, for the Honduras Birding for Conservation Tour, the 10-day event where we're birding for prize money, and don't let me leave out the closing ceremony with Honduras's president at the last day of the event, and,
nice.
and all you celebrity tour leaders. It's ballpark $2,200 per person for double occupancy, which means if you come down with 2 people, and right up around $2,600 for a single to come down.
Okay, and that includes what during the time?
That includes you need to provide your own international airfare.
Right.
Please arrive San Pedro Sula, International Airport, and we provide all the in-country costs. Airport pickup, guide service, transportation, accommodations, meals, soft drinks, park entrance fees, anything and everything you need outside of maybe a bar bill or a gift shop or things of that nature.
Yeah. Boy, it sounds like a great time. I'm looking forward to doing it.
It's going to be a blast. Once this thing gets going, it's going to be a really good time.
Well, it's impressive that you're a guy who's got vision about stuff, and really, I think before you started doing stuff for Pico, Honduras, there wasn't a lot happening out there in the international birding scene. People going to the tropics, or Costa Rica, Belize, and sort of Guatemala's coming up, and a lot of people going now to other sites there. Of course, always Mexico, but You've done a really good job with this, and I'm not at all surprised that you've come up with this great idea and that it's caught on. And I won't be at all surprised if it's a terrific success, and I hope it is.
Well, thank you very, very much. Thank you to you. Thank you to the tour leaders we're going to have, who I mentioned earlier. And thank you to the corporate sponsors, to the people who are helping us out with, whether it's optics, prize money, field guides, what have you. I mean, there's no way I could do this alone, and I'm very humbled by all the help we're getting here. So thank you.
Well, good luck with everything, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Right. One of my fellow guides for the Birding for Conservation Tour is Jeffrey Gordon, president of the American Birding Association. Jeff's a veteran tropical birding guide and someone who is quite conversant on the topic and impact of ecotourism. Here's Jeff Gordon. I'm sitting here at the International Corporate Headquarters of Birdwatchers Digest with Jeff Gordon, who is president of the American Birding Association and also one of the guides or leaders for the Honduras Birding for Conservation Tour. Welcome, Jeff, to This Birding Life once again.
Thanks, Bill.
I think the last time, well, no, you've been on a few episodes, but you were on the very first episode when you and Julie and I were sitting on top of the tower, the temple in Tikal, and just talking about what we were seeing. That kind of got the podcast launched. So welcome back once again.
Thank you. Good to be back.
So you've been to Pico Bonito, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where one of the stops for the Birding for Conservation Tour. What can you tell people about your experience birding there in Honduras?
Well, I have been a tour leader for a lot of years and done a lot of travel around Central America. And Pico Bonito is right at the top in terms of the natural history experience, the birding experience, and just, it being a nice, really nice place to stay. But the kind of nice that doesn't get in your way.
Right.
I mean, we've all kind of been to hotels that they might be like really fancy, but it actually is almost an impediment to what you're there for, which is to experience the tropical forests and all the birds and things that are there. So it's really masterfully done. The accommodations there are, they're beautiful. They're just beautifully done, and everything is really well thought out to just for what you're there for, to have basically about as comfortable an experience as it's possible to have in the tropical forest, and things are just done well in a way that lets you experience the birds and wildlife there. It's incredible, and also something that I think Pico Bonito is just totally a leader in is it really is integrated with the local community and provides economic opportunity for the local community, from the guides who work there on down through all the staff and whatever. And there's really a palpable sense of that. I think one thing as a traveler, going around different places, sometimes there's a little bit of like a spaceship feeling to a place that you go. It's almost like as a tourist, you're sort of plopped down there and you don't feel like you get to meet the people as much as I think a lot of birders and ecotourists would like to.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that's just really delightful and really laudable about Pico Bonito. And it's not something that happens by accident.
Right.
It's clearly something that James and his team have really tried to say, you know what? There's a reason for this local La Ceiba community to not cut down this forest.
Right.
There's a reason for it to be here, and it's something that the economic benefit isn't just going to go off somewhere else. That it's actually going to help the people who live locally, and I really find that very, very, very exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, Honduras seems to be a little bit on the rise as a birding destination, and we've seen that over the years. You and I both were in early on when Guatemala was coming online, and I know you've led a lot of trips to other countries, Belize and Costa Rica and so forth. How does Honduras compare bird-wise with some of those other countries? Is it on a par? Is it?
Oh, absolutely. And one thing that I think Honduras, there's really a fallacy in thinking in terms of endemics by countries. Like, this is not to take anything away from the Honduran emerald, which is a perfectly lovely little hummingbird. But, really, I mean, even after I had, been dozens of times from, in that sort of southern Mexico to Panama zone, I think I saw like 6 birds that I'd never seen before in Honduras. And that included some things I'd really been wanting to see for a long time, like keel-billed motmot, which is easy. Knock wood for those of us who are going back. But it really, there's just a nice contrast if you have been to Costa Rica or Panama or Guatemala. Honduras, you'll get to see a lot of old friends that knocked your socks off on previous trips, but you'll see different things too. And on the other side of the coin, if you're thinking of getting your feet wet in the neotropics, Honduras is an excellent first destination as well. Right. So, and I think this is one thing when you really do get kind of bitten by that tropical birding bug, you'll wind up wanting to go back. And it really, the emphasis changes as you go from, Oaxaca, Chiapas on down, in through Panama. It's just this constantly shifting thing. So Honduras, very, very worthy destination for sure.
It's going to be interesting to be down there kind of birding. I know it's billed as a competition, but I think everybody's just wanting to go down there and have a good experience with, some talented local guides. I've never been there, so I'm going to be kind of fumbling around. I don't have the experience that some of you other
okay. I see where this is going. I'm managing expectations. Sure, okay.
I'm slow pitching you right now. Okay. But it's going to be fun, and I hope we'll have time to hang out in the evenings and compare notes, and because it's nothing like after a good long day of birding in the tropics to sit around, have a cold beer and talk about what you saw. And I think I'm looking forward to that part of it. And I think it seems like the folks that are signing up for the tour are very like-minded. This isn't a trip to go and nail all the endemics. It's you're signing up and pitching in for a cause.
Yeah, well, and I will say you probably will get to nail all the endemics because I think we are going to go see that Honduran emerald. But no, I mean your point is totally well taken. The whole thing about like a birding competition, whatever. I mean, it is a very attractive narrative, and one of the reasons I think for us to do this event and be involved in it is not only for our own, we're going to get to go down to Honduras, we're going to get to have a great time and see great things, but us doing that, and by us I don't just mean you and me, Bill. I mean all the participants on it, everybody that's involved in it. It is going to shine a light on the value of birding and ecotourism as an industry and on the economic and social value of conservation. Right. And the whole competitive thing. Right. I mean, that's real. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hope I win, but it gives the media and the folks that are involved in this a nice little handle to hang on to, and makes it a little different. So I feel like the competition is there and it's real, but like it's not going to be kill yourself 24 hours a day for a week. Right. I don't think it's not my idea of a fun time.
No. All right. Well, it's great seeing you now. It's going to be great seeing you in a month or so here when we do our rendezvous over in Red Knots. How can people find out more about the American Birding Association?
Just go to aba.org. Don't go to aba.com because that's the lawyers. But yeah, aba.org, and we've got groups on Facebook, and we're easy to connect with. We have a lot of free resources that are out there for any birder to use and enjoy and learn from.
Super. And we'll do another episode at some point with focused on the ABA. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bill.
Among the leading birding guides in Honduras is Honduran native Alex Alvarado. Alex has his own tour company, Honduran Birds, and he's hired as an in-country guide by many of the international birding and travel companies that bring tours to Honduras. Alex is also one of the Honduran guides for the Birding for Conservation Tour. I recently spoke to him to learn about how he got into birding in the first place. Here's Alex Alvarado.
Okay, so I'm Alexander Alvarado from Honduras, and I'm part of the big Birding for Conservation tour we have in November, next November. Also a member of the Honduran Ornithological Association, trying to invite, all people from the U.S. as well people from Europe that are part of your broadcast up there. And invited them to be part of this big event we have in November, the Birding for Conservation Tour.
Excellent. And Alex, where are you from originally in Honduras?
I'm native to a town located on the western part of Honduras, Santa Rita de Copan, which is only 10 minutes out of Copan Ruinas, one of the places which is part of the Birding for Conservation Tour as well. So I'm living about 10 minutes from the ruins, from the archaeological site in Copan.
Oh, nice. And you're an independent bird guide there in Honduras, correct?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I'm an independent, yeah.
Okay. And so how did you get into birds originally, Alex?
It's a pretty long story, Bill. I started on this without even having idea what birding was. I started on this like on my own, asking, other people about birds, and that was on 2004. If you want to know the whole story, here it goes. I came from the U.S., deported on 2004. I was living illegal in Texas, and so they sent me back.
Oh.
So when I came back from Texas, I was fully depressed, and I didn't have anything else to do more than wander around the woods or visiting national parks, or I got nothing else to do, so I didn't have a job. When I came from the U.S. on December 2004, December 2004, I was in a very critical situation, economical, and also I didn't have a job in Honduras. So I started hiking different places all over Copan and also my hometown, Santa Rita. When I did it without even know that birding would be a hobby or something like that, but I was listening to birds. And I was, every single morning that I was, hiking around, I would listen to orioles or other species which are very melodic, and I got curious about it. So when I got curious about it, I went to the market, and I bought some very, very cheap pair of binoculars that they cost probably like $10. After I got these binos, I would go every afternoon along a river, looking for birds or looking for reptiles or whatever, and I was enjoying this like in a big thing. I was enjoying a lot. So in my town, I was considered a crazy person just because I would go watching for birds, because nobody would do this in town. So about probably a year later, after doing this like almost every day in the morning and afternoons, and at that time I was working in different activities in town because I'm an electrician. So I would get some jobs and also do birding in the morning and birding in the afternoons. After that, I met a gringo in town. I met a North American person in town that he was doing the same. He was going to the river and looking for birds, and I asked this guy about how will he get these so nice binoculars, very sharp binoculars, and how could I get information about birds? And he says, man, at this time, internet, it's so slow, you will never get as much info, but the best way you can do it is if you get a book. And I told him, where can I get a bird book? And he says, well, the best way is in the U.S., but if you don't have friends in the U.S. that can ship it, it's going to be much more difficult. So he lent me one of his books, and I got a lot of information. I took photocopies of this book, and I got a lot of information. So when this came to my hands, I knew that there were more species in Honduras that I would know. Mm-hmm. And then I would make excursions to different places of Honduras, like Salaque National Park, the highlands of Opatoro, La Tigra National Park, Olancho, and many other places in Honduras. So basically, what I did is, put some savings out of my job in town, which I was running like an electrician. So when I got that few money, I would go all over Honduras in a motorcycle. I still have pictures of that. When I would go all over the country in a motorcycle, birding in different places, trying to know other species. Man, like 1 year later, after doing this, I met a lady in Copan. She owns a company. She owns a birding company in the U.S. Her name is Coyote Snow. She came with her boyfriend, like in a scouting trip, and I met in Copan. So when I saw them birding, I just consider myself, I'm not the only person that is doing this crazy thing.
Right.
So they gave me a book, which I still save with me, a book which is written by Birban Perlo, and it's called Birds of Mexico and Northern Central America, and Central America, sorry. So when this book came to my hands, man, everything changed. Everything changed. And then I will be like more trusting on North American species. I knew more about the migration and all the species, we have here in summer. So that was like the big knock on the door.
Yeah.
Like probably 6 months later, after meeting this lady, I had a guy asking for me in town. His name is Forrest Davis, and he was asking to me for bushy crested jays, for Prevost ground sparrows, for blue-throated mudmots. And I didn't know that birding was a business until he told me the full story, And
Right.
and then he says, tomorrow, if you can show me bushy crested jays, I'm gonna be happy because it's gonna be a lifer. And I didn't know what lifer would mean for someone. So I told him, well, let's do it. Let's go tomorrow in the morning. And we rent a car and we went up in the hills of Copan to see bushy crested jays. And he was, very happy. He was with his wife. And he was so happy to see the bushy crested jays. And then I realized myself, this is something else I could do in the future. So he said, well, next year I'm going to come back and I'm going to bring clients with me. And I want you to be my tour guide.
Nice.
And then, well, I have never done this before, but I can show you these birds because I know where they live. In every single species you want to see, I know where they live, and I know where they nest, and I know their behavior, and I know everything about these birds. So then, we went, we planned everything. That was on June, and he was planning to come on March. So I was waiting for March, until he came with the group. He had 10 people with. I didn't know much about logistics. I didn't know anything about leading. I did nothing. When they came to the country, they were impressed because I was birding, like with a big experience. So they were surprised about what I was doing. So I took them to every single bird. They saw every single target they wanted during the trip that lasted about 10 days. And then this guy, his name Forrest Davis, he told me, Alex, I will try to recommend you with other people, and maybe in the future you will make some money out of this. So I would never, imagine that all this would come through. So at that point, I was more involved with birds because I was working in a refuge, in a rescue center in Copan. It's called Macao Mountain, and the owner of this place, he was supporting me a lot, even when I was, doing scouting trips and going out in the woods. So I was more involved with birding, and I was like in love with birds. That's the real description. And in the next year, he came back. I remember that was on 2012. Yeah, Forrest Davis came back with another group. I had other people interested in hiring me, for birding. And man, my big depression and all the problems I had, they disappeared. In 2013, I met this guy from Pico Bonito, James Adams. And he told me, Alex, I remember he said to me, Alex, I think with all the knowledge you have and all the experience you have with these birds, I think we could easily run some trips in these mountains, and you could be the leader for these groups. So we will try to help you. And he did it, man. He started recommending me with every single person that would come to Pico Bonito. If you want to do some more birding in other parts of Honduras, go with Alex. And they spread out the voice about Alex. And last 3 years, everything changed. Now I'm completely established, and I'm full involved with birding everywhere in Honduras, and trying to support everything related with birds everywhere in Honduras. I have been part of these birding festivals in different places like UK, the big birding expo in the US,
Oh, yeah.
and all that. So I'm part of this in the country, and I'm representing Honduras in a good way for the birding, and I'm trying to convince many locals to get into birding. Uh, every single thing related to birds in Honduras, I have been trying to get involved in that, and so far it's going good. It's going great. My economical problems, they have been, I mean, they have disappeared because I have been doing some money to support my family, and now the whole family depends out of the birding. So life has changed completely out of birding. Yeah.
Well, that's good. So it's been a good thing that you found birding and birding found you.
Exactly. It's quite incredible. Yeah.
If your team wins, do you have a special conservation cause that you'll want the money to go to?
Yeah, I wanted to go to Macau Mountain, and the reason it is because the story behind Macau Mountain, all the birds, it's pretty big. They started releasing birds in a while, and they started taking care of birds that people would take to their sanctuary from years and years ago. And their project, it's focused on getting any injured birds and putting these birds out into the wild. Or if people had pets that they can donate to this place, they will focus on breed these birds, and their babies can be released in different places all over Honduras.
Okay.
So they have two releasing projects. One is in the Copan Valley, and the other one is in the islands. They are releasing macaws and parrots and parakeets in the islands, and also in Copan. So their idea is to preserve birds as much as possible,
Yeah.
and continue with preservation of wildlife in the area. Also, they have a big educational project, which is focused on telling every single person in the surroundings of Copan that they have to protect the birds, that they have to protect the forest, and this has been for last 4 years that they have been doing this, and I have been volunteering for the project as well. So
Good.
so that's what I really would like to, if my tour, if my group would win a competition like this, I would tell them drop the money in this.
Well, it sounds like a very worthy cause. Well,
Yeah.
Alex, I'm really looking forward to seeing you down there in November. I can't wait to come down, and I've never been to Honduras, and I've never been to any of those wonderful places you've talked about, Pico and Copan. So it's going to be a real thrill, and I look forward to seeing you down there. I hope that my team wins, and no offense, but may the best team win. Okay.
Yeah, I hope you do it.
The good news is, I think this is shining a light on conservation in Honduras, and I hope that not only the government but people will maybe pick up on the whole conservation and ecotourism thing, so that that money can benefit the local communities and also benefit the conservation causes.
Well, of course it will, because every single detail we're taking on the tour is being related exactly on what you said. Yeah, we are very worried about all those details. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Alex, thanks so much for speaking with us here today on This Birding Life, and I'll look forward to seeing you very soon.
Man, I'm gonna be waiting for you in here, man. I remember you saying it's my first time I saw it up in the trains in the UK. So
that's right.
So
that's right.
Yeah,
remember that.
Yeah. I won't forget that moment. Yeah, I am waiting for you.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Have a good day, Bill.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
To learn more about the Honduras Birding for Conservation Tour, visit the website of the event at hondurasbirdtour.com. The Birding for Conservation Tour takes place November 4 to 13, 2016, and as of this airing, there are still a few spots open for you to join one of the teams. I'm going to be there, and I can't wait. My thanks to James Adams of Pico Bonito Lodge in Honduras, Jeffrey Gordon of the American Birding Association, and Alex Alvarado of Honduran Birds. Thanks, too, to our fabulous sponsors, Carl Zeiss Sports Optics, creators of fine birding and outdoor optics, Connect with Zeiss at zeiss.com or at facebook.com/zeissbirding. Carl Zeiss. We make it visible. And thanks to Rock Jumper Birding Tours, which will take you anywhere in the world you want to go birding and show you a fabulous time. Plan your next great birding adventure at rockjumperbirding.com. Finally, thanks to Birdwatchers Digest for being my BFF since way back when. Join the BWD family by sampling our content, signing up for Birdwire, our free bi-weekly e-newsletter, buying one of our books or booklets, or birding products, or coming to one of our world-class birding events, including our Reader Rendezvous birding trips and the American Birding Expo, where we bring the entire world of birding to one place for you to check out. All of this and more is available to you at birdwatchersdigest.com. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Until next time, this is Bill Thompson III saying I will see you out there with the birds. Laters.